Hello my dear friends, we are back. Today we are switching the monthly candle, finally, because this uncertainty is driving a lot of people crazy. So let's look at what we predicted and what we were looking at a few weeks ago when we made our last Bitcoin review. So basically we were talking about how Bitcoin precisely found its support line upon this global trend line. Probably I was using a little bit fixed chart before. So as you can see, it hit our mid level of this half of this range of the previous cycle, and we hit this support line and this global counter trend line as our support, and we held it. And I said it as that there is a high possibility that we are looking into the expansion, at least local one, within a few weeks, and we had this expansion. We'll remove these low time frame trend lines, and as you can see, we held this global counter trend line as support here. The next week, as we predicted, was some kind of a little pin bar here, and uncertainty, another one. We tried to break this mid-level mid-range support, retested it successfully, and that it was the sign that we are holding it and probably we are going for the expansion here. If we turn on our additional tools that we are using, so definitely we are set upon this monthly switch. We are set to hit at least 17,700, 17,800 at least. But what is going to happen next? We can even go a little bit higher, up to 19,000, 19,500, 600. That would be, I'd say, the ultimate level for me, where we will have to reject. Why is this important? This kind of expansion is important for us to build the new levels, and as I predicted before and said in my previous market review where I was discussing the Bitcoin, I was telling that I'm expecting something like this, or maybe even something like this, with the false break, with a fake out. But actually this level of resistance is kind of strong. It was a strong support before, and I wouldn't be surprised at all if it's going to be a strong resistance too. So, and we can see the similar situation here. Let's remove the super trend indicator and others. As you can see, we were struggling here too before breaking it. As you can see, this zone was the struggling to make the re-high, to break our previous cycle's all-time high. The same thing is happening right now, that we are trying to reclaim it, and the question is, are we going to reclaim it? That question remains uncertain. Nobody knows, nobody will tell you. I would say even if we try to reclaim this previous resistance line and previous all-time high resistance, I think we will not be successful, and we are going to go lower to my previously marked targets, at least 12,700, 14,000, or 14,000 or 13,500. Why? So let's look at the monthly chart, for example, and what we see here. We were dumping and we had an aggressive candle on the monthly here, and I was saying that it is not good. We have to recover a little bit within the month, and we held that support that I mentioned, and we were trading upon its lows, and now we are closing this monthly with this little wick below. So definitely, even if we start the next month with the ascending mood and direction, we are going to make an expansion, and we will be back for example, at least to cover it, and then we are going to find out what is going to happen next. If we hold this support line, this mid-level line again, we can go higher, for example. But before that, we are definitely set to be back to 15,700 at least, or 500. That is what this monthly candle is telling me. If we turn on the Kijun, and you can see that we definitely have enough space to go lower, and we simply need some expansion. So we would free some space here, which is supported by this global trend line. We can do some retest here, draw a wick here, and get absorbed here to the lower side until to the $14,000-$15,000. That is what can happen. So I don't see that we are going to break to the upside immensely and go to the previously open targets for us of $24,000 or $28,000. So I don't think that we are going there anytime soon. And even if we did go there, definitely we would have some reasons to get back to it at least when we would break this monthly Kijun line, and we would go back anyway. We will be back to the targets that we set, for example 13,500 or 12,700. So definitely I don't think the low on Bitcoin is yet there. And if you will look at our previous global bottom of the previous cycle, we still can go lower, but this time it is a little bit different. And if you follow me on Twitter, you probably know that I was sharing this. We have perfect resistance here. As you can see on the daily, we have a perfect resistance. We can go like this and try to break. This is a strong resistance on the daily with both Kijun resistance and the super trend resistance. If we get there and get rejected, then we probably go in lower and to our targets. If not, thus we will finish the expansion here and we'll go lower. So basically that is why all this monthly closing, and if it starts with the upside movement, I'm going to look for the targets and for the great positions and spots for the shorts. If you look at my old trading chart from 2019-2020 that I used for the successful trading, I shared it once on my Twitter account. As you can see, I was trading those global trend lines and ranges, supports and resistances successfully in the 2019-2020, and I found it, and it was a great one. Why? Because what I saw here was very valuable here, and I shared with my followers that all my global trend lines, they work perfectly. As you can see, when the price of Bitcoin fell to 18,000, I showed them that look how precisely it holds the global trend line. We lost this set of global trend lines, we went sharply down, as you can see, until the next global trend line. And look at how nicely we found this support and then resistance upon this global trend line, and then we went lower. And I said, if we won't break it and go to this resistance of this set of global trend lines as resistance, then we are probably going for the retest of this global trend line. And why these global trend lines are so important and they work so fine, even better than the support and resistance lines, the ranges lines, because the market is going in the right direction, and it go in like this. The market moves on the chart in the right direction, and it goes either up or down. So that is why when we have up or down and moving to the right, that makes that we are going by the diagonal movement and formation. That is why these trend lines are so important. They are the parts of the channels that we are building because of trading. So, and the moment we lost this global trend line, look what happened. Yes, we found this locally, we found this global counter trend line as support, but look at what is happening here. The rule number one that I told you, the price, the rule number one of the price action, the price is going from liquidity to liquidity. If we are going into the spots of the previous liquidity, like here, we tried to retest it, we didn't find liquidity supporting the upside movement, so we went lower to the spots of the previous liquidity here to retest it and find additional liquidity, whether we will find buyers or sellers. We didn't find many buyers here, more sellers here. That is why we went lower here. And the price goes from the liquidity and from the global trend line to the next global trend line. And look what I found. When we broke this global trend line, and that makes me thinking, a lot of thinking. So these are the worst scenarios that I'm setting here. Why? Because this is another global trend line, one of the final. It is colored in red. Can make it bold here. So probably if we also turn on our supports, as we can see, our indicators, 730 EMA, we are hitting it. Now we are switching into the as you can see, this is the same level of resistance that I showed on another chart. The Kijun resistance and the super trend resistance here. As you can see, the same level. We at the same level with this global trend line. So this is going to has to be a strong resistance. Even if we go there, we retest it, get rejected, then we are going lower, and for the expansion going lower. As you can see, here are the two scenarios with the green and purple lines marked here. Why are those? If we look at the weekly, this makes the perfect sense for me. Look at the weekly, turn on the 730, this is it, this is the resistance. One of you can, invalidation would be here. If we break it to the upside, reclaim this global trend line, and retest it as support successfully, then I would say that probably something's changed and we are not going lower. Okay, we are going to the upside easily. That's it. If we hold this one, this support, definitely we are going higher if we reclaim and hold it. Otherwise, this is the only safe scenario here where we are not going lower, in my opinion. And I have reasons for that, the grounds. if we rejecting here upon this global trend line, and as I said, Kijun resistance, super trend resistance, all at the same spot here, then we are going for the retest of my primary target around 12,700 here, as I marked on other chart also. And after that we will have the reaction definitely, and we will have some pump a little, and the rest is going to depend on the market maker and the reaction of the market. But and probably we can hold even this $12,000 zone, maybe, but there are reasons to consider that we can go even lower up to this, but not immediately, of course, after some trading sessions and a little bit extended trading range. We can actually, there exists the possibility that we will hit this red trend line too. I don't know what is going to happen with altcoins then. Maybe they will pump before on some relief bounces of Bitcoin, but this is the real scenario for me. And if we will draw this rejection line here, the local counter trend line here, and it makes a lot of sense to me. As you can see, we find resistance over here, go lower, then again rejection, either we retest it and go break it and then slide upon it, or we get rejection here again and go lower immediately to 9, and that is not a fantastic scenario. Why? Because first of all, we got a significant gap on the CME chart from from 2020, when we pushed and didn't close, when everybody expected us to close that gap, and we didn't, and we took off and Bitcoin started to skyrocket, and we then decided that we will never be back to it. But as you can see, we are closer to it now more than ever, and the possibilities to touch it and close it still exist. Nobody is telling it won't, nobody is saying it is going to close it, but this is the reason. One of the reasons would be technical reasons. Also, as you can see, I told you when the Bitcoin was around $28,000-$32,000 that I'm looking into a situation that if Bitcoin breaks $20,000, it is not going to be an easy ride for us. Why? Because from the psychological point of view, we know that market maker, if the market maker decides for us to let us buy below $20,000, then definitely it is going to give us a lower targets, and it will lead us even much lower. Why? Because definitely it is not like in 2018. In 2018, when we broke our psychological levels, we didn't break our previous cycle's all-time high. This time we did, and that is why in 2018 everybody panicked. This time, when breaking $20,000, nobody would expect for the market to panic, because everybody knows that Bitcoin revives and rises from the ashes again, and everybody is going to buy heavily at below $20,000, and as you can see, everybody did. So why would the market maker let everybody win, let everybody buy that low, possibly the bottom of this year and this cycle? And would let everybody and would drag everybody with them to the new highs. So definitely there has to be some other excruciating plan where everybody who was waiting to invest in Bitcoin and other altcoins, fundamental altcoins, they have to suffer, and they have to until that moment when everybody decides, well, that the market changed and the investment in crypto doesn't work anymore, so we better switch back to the high leverage trading. And then this is when a lot of people switch to the high leverage trading and forget about the investments. This is when the market starts flying high. So definitely I am not telling you that this scenario is going to happen, but I think as the article says that I wrote a few months ago, you hope for the better, but you have to be prepared for the worst. So you have to keep that scenario in mind. Definitely, I think 13,000, 14,000, or even 12,000 is guaranteed for us here on this market. The question for me here remains whether we dive even lower towards this global trend line. That would make sense for me. But nobody knows the plans of the market maker and the market in general. So be safe there, guys, and if you're investing and accumulating, do that partially, level to level. The lower we go, the more you buy. See you soon. Goodbye.